Not one, but two built-in cameras are supposed to turn the Mavic 3 from DJI into a video and photo beast. It features the largest ever consumer drone camera sensor, and it records with 10-bit color depth, shoots video in crystal clear 5.1K, and is supposed to stay airborne for full 46 minutes. And that is only a few of the major highlights. My name is Tom David Frey, and I took the DJI Mavic 3 to the test. Today I'll share all major highlights, but also its weaknesses with you. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because otherwise you'll surely regret it at some point. You'll find a product link in the description below the video in case you feel like robbing a bank and getting yourself the all-new Mavic 3 drone. Stay tuned and fly safe. We had to wait for a long time, but finally the all-new DJI Mavic 3 has arrived. Like its predecessors, the portable drone is made from high-quality materials, like industrial plastic and metal alloy. Some components are made of carbon and glass fiber, and the drone weighs slightly less than 900 grams. The durable housing that can withstand a few bumps makes the Mavic 3 a great travel companion. The drone is not only robust, but also well thought out. The few visible cables are well protected, and all ventilation openings are covered against dust and dirt and nicely keep the drone safe. Plenty of LEDs ensure in-flight visibility always. The foldable quick-release propellers noticeably reduce the volume of the drone, which is not irrelevant nowadays that many people are falsely scared of drones. In case one propeller should ever break, replacing it luckily takes seconds only. No tools are required. The design in general looks iconic, but also genuinely dull. That's because pretty much all Mavic models look somewhat alike. Seriously, it must be hard for beginners to keep a clear view. Come on, DJI. Why not be a bit more creative? Thank you. What counts for humans also counts for technology. Inner values beat exterior looks, and the flight time goes first. Though plenty of models promise to stay airborne for longer than half an hour, there is not a single model that does it regularly and under normal circumstances. The Mavic 3 from DJI does the job. It stays airborne for around about half an hour. That's a great flight time, though noticeably less than 46 minutes that the manufacturer advertises. Once attached to the charger, it takes around 1 hour and 15 minutes to fully charge an empty battery. The multiple charging dock does a fine job. It neatly charges one battery after another, no need to get up and replace them by hand. Even now, when the maximum distances beat the legal ranges by far, I'm always happy when the manufacturers work on even stronger transmission systems. That is because even when flying in line of sight, interferences from, for example, other devices can disrupt the transmission. Also, flying behind trees or other obstacles can cause the signal to interrupt unexpectedly. The DJI Mavic 3 got an upgrade and now beats even the best consumer models on the market with a maximum distance of up to 15 kilometers, roughly 9 miles in the US. In Europe, due to the weaker CE standard, you get round about 12 kilometers, 7.5 miles maximum range. Though keep in mind that is only the values that the manufacturer provides. The Mavic 3's signal is absolutely solid. When flying in line of sight, I had no connection issues whatsoever. And that is just the way it should be. Though I must admit that I did not notice the difference to most other current DJI models under these circumstances. They're all actually doing pretty good. I also must admit that I am missing a 4G transmission backup. That would have been great news, because a 4G transmission system has the advantage that the signal would not care and not interrupt, no matter what obstacle could be in between the pilot and the drone. Now, a 4G transmission also has disadvantages, of course. The signal transmission, for example, is much slower. But nevertheless, 4G would make an excellent backup in future DJI drone models. A quick word on my behalf. Having a great drone that records high-quality imagery doesn't mean that you will necessarily end up with professional aerials. That is why I created an online course that teaches you how to shoot aerials like a pro. More than 5 hours of video lessons, tons of quizzes, and downloadable cheat sheets make learning a breeze. Enroll today and combine advanced gear with expert knowledge. www.tomstechtime.com/courses. You'll not regret your decision. Let's now talk about the camera. Or rather, about the cameras, because what looks like a single camera only on first view actually is two. Two gimbal stabilized and very different cameras in one body. First, let's take a closer look at the primary camera manufactured by the Swedish luxury camera brand Hasselblad. Keep in mind that a true Hasselblad camera can easily set you back $30,000 or more. The 24mm wide-angle camera comes with an adjustable aperture that you can manually change from f2.8 to f11. That way you have complete creative control over your recordings. When taking a closer look at the imagery, you can see that the camera creates absolutely crisp videos. That is partly because the camera records with up to 5.1K, and to understand how high this resolution truly is, you need to compare it to other well-known resolutions. I mean, can you believe that most TV channels started broadcasting in HD in the mid-2000s only, and we're now calmly and easily recording 5.1K video with the Mavic 3? That's what I call significant steps in technology. #future-proof. Having so many pixels available is not only great for shooting super high-res videos, but is also an advantage when working on a regular 4K or Full HD project. Without a quality loss, you can zoom into the footage, creating a digital zoom effect, or simply adjust the perspective. That is a significant advantage of all resolutions higher than 4K. Besides the overall sharpness, it's striking how minimal the distortion of the Mavic 3's primary lens is. Even in the corners, all lines look perfectly straight. But on the other hand side, it's not like it comes at a surprise. I didn't expect less from a Hasselblad-made camera. 12.8 stops of dynamic range ensure that the camera captures even the smallest details in the shadows and highlights that would otherwise be lost. Especially when filming during difficult times of the day, like during sunrise or sunset, having 12.8 stops of dynamic range comes in handy. DJI also increased the bitrate drastically. That is good news for the overall look of the recordings. When using the H.264 codec, you can record with up to 200 Mbit per second. That doubles the predecessor's capabilities. The DJI Mavic 3 records with 10-bit color depth, compared to 8-bit that most other consumer drones still feature. Right behind the high-quality lens, the manufacturer hides the primary reason why this camera does such a fine job. Adieu tiny and bye-bye 1-inch sensors. What makes this a true Hasselblad camera is its massive 4/3 CMOS sensor. Such a massive sensor is usually something you only find in professional and much larger drone models. The sensor, the centerpiece of any camera, affects almost all aspects of the recording, from the general sharpness over the color accuracy to the low-light capabilities. This is fantastic news. By the way, on www.tomstechtime.com/drone footage, you can download original videos and photos that are recorded using the all-new DJI Mavic 3 drone. If you like to further inspect the footage, then feel free to download the files and give them a quick test edit. www.tomstechtime.com/drone footage. It's free, and of course you don't even have to register. Go and check it out now. The second camera has a smaller but typical half-inch sized sensor aboard. Unfortunately, it doesn't record in 5.1K, but instead is limited to standard 4K. It has a fixed f4.4 aperture. But the camera might, nevertheless, could cause filmmakers to hyperventilate the hard way, so sit back tight. It has a super high focal length. 50mm? No. 85mm or 100mm? No. Instead, the second camera has a focal length of 162mm. That is major news and something we haven't ever seen in a consumer drone. Take a look at these two clips that I recorded from the same position, once using the wide-angled Hasselblad and once using the tele camera. Higher focal lengths are fantastic for creating professional-grade aerial videos. It's not that you're visually closer to an object only, instead the main effect is the narrowed view, the shrinking of the background that at the same time makes the foreground appear just so much more drastic and dramatic. Motion seems faster. But the new camera also has a disadvantage. To use the telecamera, you need to first tap on the binocular symbol on the display. Immediately, the camera jumps from 5.1K to standard 4K resolution only. But don't be fooled, you still see the image of the primary camera. Suppose you now start to zoom in using the small wheel on the controller, what do you think will happen? Instead of switching from one to the other camera, the system first applies a digital zoom only. You can zoom in all the way up to a 4-fold magnification. But when you now keep on zooming in, the camera will jump straight to a 7-fold magnification. And only now do the cameras switch. The next bit of trouble follows swiftly. Why does it have to take so much fine feeling to adjust the magnification factor properly? The system constantly jumps back and forth, it's a bit annoying. Setting things up might take a second. But why, you might ask, does the system have to be set up to a precisely 7-fold magnification? And why would a value of, let's say, 7.2 or 7.6 or even 8.2 be unfavorable? That's because only with a 7.0-fold magnification do you get an actual 4K image. If you use a higher value, let me for demonstration purposes zoom in all the way, you will lose precious video quality again. That is because the tele lens is a fixed focal length lens. It is not a zoom lens. Hopefully with the next firmware update, DJI will add a simple button to the main screen to natively switch from one to the other camera back and forth, because it could be that simple. It is worth mentioning that the Hasselblad color profile is installed to the Mavic 3 drone. It has an unmatched color accuracy and I'm super glad that it is available. Adjusting the colors and the contrast is a flawless process. Besides the Hasselblad color profile, you also get D-Log, which you might already know from previous drone models. Its super flat and grayish look preserves many details in the shadows and highlights that you can then recover in post-production. I prefer to use Hasselblad's color profile because I believe it's a bit more natural looking, but finally, I believe it's a matter of taste. The Mavic 3 comes in two variants, Standard and Cine. Actually, there are only two differences between them. Instead of a regular remote controller, where you would have to connect your phone to use it as a monitor, with the Cine edition, you get DJI's latest version of the smart controller. It comes with an inbuilt, super bright display. Using it is so much more comfortable than using the standard controller. No more using cables, no more losing cables, no more trouble in bright sunlight. Now, if you're purchasing the more expensive Cine edition, you do not only get the smart controller, but your drone will also have an inbuilt SSD with a capacity of 1 TB. And you'll need the extra space for using Apple's ProRes 422HQ codec. Now, what does that mean? The professional codec records at a much higher bitrate than most standard codecs would. And the extra information benefits the recordings that are much more detailed. The Cine edition of the Mavic 3 sets a new and pretty high standard and is made for filmmakers, photographers and content creators that want to capture the best possible results. But video isn't everything the Mavic 3 can do on a professional level. Also, it plays in the first league when it comes to taking photos, though it still didn't get a pixel upgrade. 20 megapixels is good, though I would have expected a bit more in this new drone model. Anyways, because of the large 4/3 sensor, the photos taken with the Mavic 3 look pretty good, super sharp actually from the middle to the corners. And if you're photographing in RAW mode, you'll be able to get a nice amount of detail out of your photos. Of course, the Mavic 3 comes with various modes from AEB to timed shots. You won't miss any modes that you know from other DJI drones. The DJI Mavic 3 is equipped with the latest safety features. It has a built-in obstacle avoidance system, also downward-facing landing lights and precision tracking cameras. That way the drone has superb indoor and night flying capabilities. Of course, the drone's return to home function makes sure the drone always automatically flies back to its takeoff position in case of a signal loss. Also, the drone features an ADS-B receiver that can detect nearby airplanes and warn in time. The system does a good job with larger, like passenger airplanes, but as many smaller ones, like those right behind my back, don't have an ADS-B system installed, you still need to pay extra attention to air traffic. And as always, the old rule applies, don't you ever fly near an airport. The new flagship drone, the Mavic 3, convinced me. It is a great drone with an exciting pro-level hybrid camera, still compact enough to become a dear travel companion. It's made for ambitious filmmakers, photographers and content creators who are only satisfied with the best possible quality. Of course, the drone is easy and safe to fly and no expert skills are required. Now everyone can create pro-level aerials. Aside from the camera, the drone also performed great. Round about 30 minutes of flight time are good, just as the long transmission range. Now the major disadvantages probably are the boring design and the missed chance to increase the photo resolution that is still stuck at 20 megapixels only. Without the large sensor, the drone wouldn't really be an upgrade from the predecessor for photographers. Also, it's a bummer that the telecamera can only record in 4K and not in 5.1K. Let me sum it all up in one sentence. The Mavic 3 is the best in-class drone, but still not perfect. And very, very pricey. Okay, that was 2 sentences. Check out the product link in the description below the video. Also, don't forget to enroll in my course, Filming with Drones, where you will learn how to shoot professional aerials with almost any drone, because skills matter much more than using the latest technology, at least most of the time. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to never again miss any of my upcoming videos. Stay tuned and fly safe. Party! The weather is so bad and I want to go home. It is raining all day long and it just stopped like for a couple of minutes and I'm done for today. No more flying drones and no more. Where are you going? I think she's so done too.